I'm Galvin,
And I'm Author Function.
and this is a Secret Boss podcast where we talk about the best auteurs in gaming, whether they deserve that title or not. And today we are talking about Sylvie, who has, to this day, made 145 games on her own as a solo dev. No, I'm just kidding. She's actually made 146 games because she announced the game literally today, like 4 hours ago as of this recording.
Yeah, as of this recording, at the time that we release this episode is going to be way after.
There's going to be like 5 more games then. Yeah.
But that is a staggering amount of games, considering that she started making games like, I want to say like 15-ish years ago. And
Yeah.
that's like, 10 games every year?
Yep. I don't understand. I don't know. An aspiration to all us employed people.
How would you describe Sylvie's games?
It's difficult. Like literally, I was listening back to the episode where I recommended her, and I was like, I say in that episode, as I'm describing her, I don't exactly know how I would describe her games, but I'm recommending this episode to figure out how I would describe her games. And now that we're actually recording the episode, I don't know. I would say she's unconventional is the word that most people use when introducing her, but kind of not really. She makes a lot of 2D platformers and she uses unconventional techniques that are usually like discarded by other game developers, usually kicked aside or branded as just like inefficient or like of the past, and she tries to reclaim them, not exactly even really consciously, but just because she likes them. I guess I don't know. One way of describing her, I guess, would be like she's the type of person who likes playing video games, all of it, including like the jank parts that some people hate. And she's like part of her games is like trying to reclaim that in a way, not like too strongly, but like basically just putting everything that she likes in the game into her games. As we'll find out later, she would describe her games as basically just the games that she wants to make. Nothing more, nothing less, basically. How would you describe her games?
You missed the most important part, in my opinion, is that these games are cute. They have
Yeah.
soft kittens in them. They have round bunnies. They have lots of pink and purple, and they have casts of almost entirely women. I don't think I've seen a single man. And they are some of the most girliest games I've seen, and a lot of them are incredibly difficult, which is kind of fascinating to see as that as like difficult genres are often more associated with more masculine aesthetics, and those aren't necessarily connected at all, but that is how they are often portrayed within the gaming industry. So having that counterexample here within Sylvie's games feels really wonderful. And I think that the pairing of the aesthetic and the strange, difficult gameplay make for a really fun and unique experience. And they also feel like kind of comforting in a way, in the very unintuitive way, I guess.
Yeah. Well, first off, I just want to mention the reason I didn't bring up her cute graphics and stuff was because I was trying to do her a favor. Since, the only good games with good graphics are games like Dark Souls or like stuff with like NVIDIA, like full mesh suit tracking, 3D, extremely detailed stuff. All other games with all other types of graphics and art styles are just completely worthless. So I was trying to do her a favor, but thank you for denigrating her, so I don't have to. Second off, I feel like the reason she has a lot of hard games with 2D aesthetics is because I feel like she gets into a lot of retro games like Famicom games, or like especially forgotten Famicom games, which she keeps bringing up. Not that Tower of Druaga is like an especially forgotten one, but she brings it up as a lot as like an extremely difficult game, but with still like kiddie aesthetics because they were still appealing to kids. I don't know. What's a good example? My
Well,
immediate
not
thought is like,
Tower Druaga, because that's an arcade game. Fuck.
okay, okay, fine, Mr. Historic. You're just ruining everything about this podcast. So I'm trying to bring something approachable to it, and you're just like, oh, actually.
I was very strongly considering doing Tower Druaga for our next episode, so I had to get that out.
Sure. Let me go find an arcade cabinet real quick. I did my best as the research. You did a little less than your best as the research. But either way, I would still say that there's not much about Sylvie out there, which is fine because it's fine for anybody on the internet to live a seclusive life. It's fine. Her life's not even seclusive. She just says fewer things about herself than other people on the internet would. And if you know people on the internet, they say a lot of things. So she's basically just minding her own business. But basically what we know about her is she got into game design like 2008-ish. I know in an interview she talked about growing up liking retro games and playing them, and basically she was just like, I'll make some of my own with it. And that's basically it. She makes most of her games in Game Maker. Sometimes she makes her games in Bitsy, but she's nearly all of her games are in Game Maker, made of that specific engine because she knows that engine like front to back. A lot of her games are 2D platformers. Some of her games are top down. Some are bump RPGs. Some are, I don't know, other things.
I mean, yeah, she has a very wide diversity of games. She focuses a lot on special mechanics that most other people like would gloss over. And she uses them in very structured environments designed around that experience, I guess.
And I would also say that she like designs her games in a way that seems messy on first approach, but like when you play through it, you realize it's a lot more deliberate and a lot more careful than she's letting it off to be. Kind
While
of like
still being messy, in my opinion. I feel like the messiness
yeah,
is part of the appeal to
yeah.
me and like having to deal with some of these strange mechanics.
It's simultaneously messy and like extremely intricate, I guess is my point. I don't know. There's just so much stuff going on in them. Let's talk about the first game I played. I don't know if it was the first game you played also, but it was Sylvie Lime for me.
Oh yeah, Sylvie Lime. This is a 2D platformer with the gimmick that you can jump around, but you can also turn into a lime. When you turn into a lime, you keep the same momentum and direction, and you bounce around like a ball projectile throughout the level. And it's a very unique platforming system that I haven't really seen anywhere else.
But
But
I just want to say that I wouldn't even really sell it that way either because it's not even really that. I was reading a lot of Liz Ryerson, a game journalist, and she described a lot of games in the 2010s, like indie games, as being like one clever mechanic design where it's all around one clever mechanic, like how in Braid you can reverse time, or how in VVVVVV you can flip gravity. And she also talks about another style, which is like creative maximalism, where you basically throw in a bunch of different mechanics, like a bunch of different gimmicks at once that clash with each other. And I think Sylvie Lime falls more to that because you have the Lime thing, which is fine, but there's also 26 different items that you have. Not 26, but like 18 different items that you have assigned to different parts in your keyboard that you get over time. And it's like a Metroidvania, and some of them do weird things and others of them don't. Some of them let you throw check. One lets you throw checkpoints, which means you don't even have to do platforming in some areas. You can like bounce off your checkpoint off a wall and then die so you respawn there. Other ones have you flip gravity. Some reveal hidden passages. Some are like give you coyote time, but like it's an extremely exaggerated version of coyote time. So you're like running off of like 4 blocks straight before you fall down. Um, there's just so many mechanics in it that it's not even one gimmick. It's like 15 or 16 different gimmicks in one to the point where it's not even really a gimmick. So I wouldn't even say it's a Lime thing.
yeah, I mean, I didn't want to reduce it to that, but it's where does you start off with. There's just so many mechanics in this game, but there
Yeah.
is one base mechanic, even before the line, that you would realize right away when you're playing, and it's a constant throughout basically all of her platformers, is that if you jump and you hit a wall, you don't just like hit the wall and fall down. You bounce off that wall. You go into the opposite direction of the way you were moving.
You don't even have to jump. You can just run into the wall and it'll go boing. You go off.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is just like a little residual bump. No, you're just flying across the screen. Not like that exaggerated, but it is a significant movement and it feels really awkward when you first see it and so unlike any other platformer that you might think is like, "Oh, man, this is a really terrible mechanic." But once you get used to it, like, it feels natural for some reason. It's it's giving you, like, another point of failure within the game, which can be annoying, I guess, but it's also fun to work around that point of failure where you can't touch any of the walls or else you're screwed.
Okay, this is a good place to start, I think, actually. The jumping. She talks about this a lot. She has basically written up several documents about game design, just kind of like scribbling down her thoughts. And I think this is one of them. She likes games that are like kind of talking back to you. She used to refer to it as abusive game design because that's how another person referred to it in their like master thesis statement, but that's not what she really wants to talk about. She doesn't really want to refer to that as it now. She talks about how games are designed between the designer and the player. She talks about how games are a conversation between the designer and the player, and she specifically wants to talk about the things that she wants to include in the game as like part of expressing her identity. So, for example, she likes uncomfortable movement physics because she thinks they're fun to master. She puts in games that are like intentionally that have intentionally really shitty jumps. That's the way she describes them as pathetic and shitty jumps. so that you're kind of forced to reckon with it. And over time, you kind of get a grasp of it. She'll intentionally give you less to work with so that when you figure it out, you learn to appreciate the less of it, I guess, or what little you have. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's not abusive game design, it's BDSM game design. It's
Yeah.
incredible. Yeah, there's it can be, like, a little bit hard to talk about, but once you play her games, you can really notice the way that these points of failure are, like, all over the game, and these restrictions really feel like restrictions. And a lot of these games, there are, like, obstacles that will kill you everywhere if you screw up using them, so you really have to master these mechanics, these terrible feeling mechanics, and then once you get used to it, it feels good. It's amazing at how well it works out. We gotta do our obligatory Bennett Foddy shout out in the episode, and it reminds me a lot of his games as well.
Yeah, I mean, Benefati really loves her games. He continually talks about her games a lot. He once compared Jiggly Zone to looking at a painting in, I think, the Louvre, something like that. Um,
Yeah, I love Jiggly Zone. I kinda gave up on Sylvie Lime after a bit. It was a little bit too difficult for me, but Jiggly Zone was incredible. It is, like, one of the best platformers I've ever played, to be
yeah,
honest.
I think part of that is that you look at it initially and you're like, "What is this? This doesn't feel well designed at all." And then, of course, as you play it, you're like, "Oh no, everything in this is like thought out. Everything."
Right. So, the thing about Jiggly Zone is that it's very clearly ripping off Jigglypuff from Pokemon, and
Yes,
it's using the same movement system that Jigglypuff has in Super Smash Bros., where
is it?
you can do a nice big regular jump, and then you have 5 I don't know if it's in Smash Bros., but in this game, there are 5 different jumps, and or 5 different air jumps, and each air jump is a little bit smaller than the last. So you have a great big initial jump, and then you go up a little bit, and then a little bit less, and a little bit less, and a little bit less, till you're eventually just like going in a straight line horizontally. And it it can feel like a little awkward at first, and it can also feel like, oh, okay, I have so many jumps, I can get over basically any obstacle, and that's a little strange. And then you start getting to like the real levels, and you're like, oh my god, there are spikes everywhere, and you realize that this game is about navigating your air jump through all of these different spikes in a way that is um, not going to kill you, and you really have to master that jumping skill in order to make it work.
It's nuts. Okay, here's another thing I think about Sylvie games is that she will give you stuff like in a game, like a feature, and you're like, "Isn't this too much? Like, isn't this too powerful?" And then as you keep playing, you realize, "Oh no, it's not too powerful." She has thought of everything about this. Yeah, there's a moment in every playthrough of Jiggly Zone when you're playing it for the first time. I'm gonna assume it's gonna be different for everyone when you're playing it. You get that quintuple jump or whatever, because it basically is a double jump, but 5 times. And you're like, wow, this is like, I can beat the entire game of this like really easy. And then there's another point where you get to when you're like, oh no, I can't beat this game this so easily. There's some stuff here. The level design is basically a bunch of spikes put all over the place, but very deliberately. There's some stuff where you have to navigate upwards, like a mine shaft of like spikes all over, and you have to adjust yourself. There are paths where you have to travel laterally really far, and that's difficult, especially when you're lower down to the bottom of the screen, which kills you instantly.
It's like playing through a high difficulty Minesweeper game.
Yeah, basically. Or I would say it's Microsoft Flight Simulator, but with double jumps instead of flying. It's basically the same thing. You get it.
No, I
There's a
don't.
part
You make the strangest analogies that I don't understand, but I'm
she
gonna
would
let you move
understand. You
on.
don't get it. You're a normie. You don't get it. There's a part in the game where you can jump off the side of the screen and land in like the UI, and you're like, "This is like such an interesting cheat. Why didn't you remove this?" And then you find other zones in the game that are like you can only get there by jumping off the side of the UI, and you're like, "Oh no, she thought of this too." It's great. Love all of it. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to, like, fall off the end of the screen in order to get to some sections.
Oh yeah, and the NPCs, which are so good. I feel like she's kind of like satirizing the idea of collectibles with this, in that you talk to a bunch of NPCs, which are also like Jigglypuffs, and they're often on like really hard to reach spots. And once you finally reach them, all their dialogue is like, "Hi, I'm Jiggly. Welcome to Jiggly's." It's great.
And at first, they all look like Jigglypuff, and then they get less and less like Jigglypuff and start looking like gremlins or something. It was like, "You're not pink anymore. You're not a ball anymore. You seem to have completely different appendages. You're not a Jigglypuff anymore." But they've been what is it? Ship a Theseus into something else.
That's it.
God,
That's it,
it's
basically.
a strange game, but it is so much fun to master, and the Pokemon Company could never make Jiggly Zone. They couldn't. They couldn't do it.
And very importantly, I feel like other indie developers also could make Chickly Zone because they're too focused on like the one mechanic kind of thing. I keep seeing it everywhere. A game that's like very elevator pitchable. Meanwhile, we can't even really describe what Sylvie Lime is without leaving out like huge parts of it. To me, it's like, how do you even come up with Chickly Zone? It's like, okay, you have the five double jump thing. I guess it's the main mechanic. That could be the one mechanic if you want, but you have to design all the spikes so meticulously that that's the game. I feel like you can't really sell this game without actually just playing it yourself. And I feel like that applies to a lot of other games too.
Yeah. And it is just, like, kind of incredible how much level design she gets out of just spikes and blocks, and those are the only 2 things within these levels besides, like, collectibles. But the only 2 obstacles that will produce the level for you, and then she's able to make something so intricate and detailed, and it's incredible.
Playing it feels like you're in a daze, you're locked in. It's a type of gameplay that you can't really describe to anybody verbally. It's just something that you have to experience, just something only communicatable through video games, which I think is wonderful. Here's another game that's hard to describe. Clockwork Calamity in Mushroom World. What would you do if the time stopped ticking? That's the whole title.
I didn't even, like, know there was the subtitle. I only knew it as Clockwork Calamity in the Mushroom World
I
because
think the best part is if you open the Steam page, the entire title is in the game.
really? Okay. Maybe I just blocked that out of my memory. But this is another game that uses, mechanics that people do not like, because this is a trading quest game, and it's an inventory management game.
Yes,
2
I
things
love
which
this.
people love to do.
This is like, I don't know how deliberate it is because if you read her document, she is a lot like, I'm not doing this to like provoke people. I'm putting in stuff that I like. I'm making these games for myself mainly. But I play these kinds of games and I'm like, I feel like there is some kind of like, see, this can be fun. Okay. Stop complaining about it so much. If only you would actually play the game and look at it, it would be fun. Because it really does make inventory management fun and hunting, basically, like resource hunting and trading. Yeah. It's just like a total mix of everything it's really weird.
I mean, this isn't the way that she makes her games, but it really feels like someone spitefully was like, "Oh, you think that inventory management is a bad game mechanic? Well, I'm gonna make a whole game around it." It's so funny to me. But yeah, this game is you I think that you play as Sylvie within this game, kinda like Sylvie Lime,
Yes.
and you wander into this mushroom world that where all currency is mushrooms and everyone wants to collect mushrooms, and there are little dungeons where you can get mushrooms, but the dungeons aren't really the main focus of the game. The main focus of the game is talking to all the NPCs who want mushrooms and realizing that they all want different kinds of mushrooms, and they're all willing to give you different items if you give them mushrooms. So you have to do little fetch quests around the world to get mushrooms from other people and from the dungeons and just trade them all through people. And because there is such a density of NPCs, it becomes like a little bit of a puzzle of finding all these things and figuring out, okay, which way do I navigate through these quests? Who do I need to talk to after I get this object? Sometimes they're vague, sometimes they're very much explicit, but it all feels like part of a single navigatable labyrinth of trading quests.
Yeah, basically. And it's like, I guess the game is about how you use these items because after a while you just stop needing mushrooms. You'll have enough mushrooms and you're like, I don't need any more. And that's when you realize you can start piling things up on top of each other in the overworld to climb on top of them and get to other places. Like throwing the items away and literally jumping on top of them to use them as platforms to get to other places. So it's also about how items can be used in different ways besides their intended purpose. And also it's about like being able to create a navigational system for yourself because there's not even really like a danger to the game of getting a game over or anything. It's just about like whether or not you want to make things easy for yourself or not. So it's about like you establishing your own transport system to get things back and forth quicker than usual so you don't have to struggle so much. And in the and behind all this is a genuine fail state where hypothetically, if you take the most important items of the game and lose them, you can permanently fuck up your save file and have to restart from the beginning. So there's also that looming behind you as well. I don't know. There's just a lot of variables considered to the point where I don't even really know how to describe what I'm playing or how I'm playing what I'm playing.
Yeah, there is a big warning that you could like permanently lose the game, but I feel like there's been a lot of safeguards around that. I don't
Yeah.
know how you permanently lose the, key items that you need to win the game, but there's also, like, a room where you can get items that you have collected earlier. So, I don't know how much of a risk that really is,
Oh, that's true, yeah.
but
There yeah. I mean, I do think I did restart in my very first playthrough after playing for, like, an hour because I was like I think at some point I realized I had bought the wrong things and it would be such a pain in the ass to get back to where I started. And I didn't know how to get out of because I was at the bottom of the overworld and I didn't know how to get back up. So I was like, oh God, I genuinely had to restart. Yeah.
yeah, it
Um,
very much feels like a game that doesn't care if you beat it and doesn't care if you have everything you need. It's not going to fix everything for you. It's not going to like give you a navigation system to get everything that you lost. It's just going to like let you screw things up for yourself and make you go over it and fix it yourself. And I
and
love that.
that's so much more fun, honestly. Because like,
Yeah.
I feel like there should have been fewer safeguards in Mushroom in Calamity, Clockwork Calamity, honestly. Because it's like, I don't know. It just feels like so much more of a person being there. Like they were so focused, like a person was so focused on designing a specific part of this game that they didn't even consider the other parts of the game. And they're like, take it or leave it. I just want you to get to this part. Um, I don't know. I like that. It doesn't feel sanitized. It feels like fully real, I guess. In a lot of her major games, like her bigger games, and especially recently, she's been talking about the idea of getting to access games in the same way you would be able to access at any page of the book at any time. So in games like Sylvie Lime, she's introduced a mechanic that is called, I think, Super Fun Extras, where you can open it. It's a menu you can open up at any time, and you can basically just turn on a kind of way to cheat in the game. Like you can turn on a kind of invincibility for yourself, or like turn off gravity, or stuff like that. It's not. It is kind of like turning on a command line in like a first person game, but it's also like if you want to skip a part of a game that you're not really having fun with, so you can get to the more fun parts later. Did you have an experience with this offer?
I can't recall, to be honest.
You can't
I'm
recall?
not
Okay.
sure.
This actually did work out for me because I was playing Sylvie Lime and I got into there are boss fights in the game, which suddenly turned the game from an exploration platformer into a really, really hard, like Dark Souls-esque. I haven't played Dark Souls, by the way, but Dark Souls-esque combat game where you have to fight them.
You can't keep making references to Dark Souls without having played Dark Souls.
If I play enough video games, I earn the right to compare things to Dark Souls, even if I haven't
Okay.
actually played Dark Souls. Okay, that's how it works. It's called journalism. Look it up.
I think you're gonna have a very skewed perception of Dark Souls when you do eventually play it.
This isn't very dark at all or soulful. But yeah, I actually used it to get past these bosses because I was like not having a good time, and that actually worked for me. I had so much fun with the game because I got past the bosses, and especially if you get to the later bosses, I was looking at them being like, "Yep, I would have really disliked this game if I had to play through them because they get into like Toho territory hard." Straight up, where you're doing like bullet hell, but you're also a 2D platformer, and if you hit a wall, you bounce off really hard. So no, I'm okay with not playing that. It's okay. But
I think,
yeah, she
something to mention about the difficulty is that, like, you're not forced into the difficult parts. You're supposed to, like, play the difficult parts if you enjoy that. Because most of these games, there is, like, an invincibility item.
right.
And in Clockwork Calamity, there's also another, item, I believe, that will make the game much easier. So it is interesting the way that, like, she wants difficulty within these games, but she is also very much happy to get rid of it in a diegetic way and not, like, through an option menu.
Yeah, she brings that up a lot. I mean, I feel like even beyond just her games, in the whole meta aspect of how her website is organized, this is also part of it. All of her games are organized on a spreadsheet, the one big spreadsheet where all of her games are rated by difficulty from 1 to 10, and you can look at all of these and choose which game to play. So in a way, it's like if you play a game you see with a high difficulty level, just try it out like a spice level, and if it's too hard for you, then back out and pick a lower level. I think the website and the games are very deliberately designed where it's like, if you don't like it, just stop playing it. There is also one platformer I like where the opening title screen is like, if you are getting frustrated by the difficulty of this game, consider stopping and doing something else. Just don't play the game. She tells you that at
Which
the
game is
beginning of the
that?
game. It's called like Four Mittens. I think it was dedicated to her cat. I think it was. By the way, she likes cats. I forgot. I don't know if we forgot to mention that. She likes cats a lot.
It's worth mentioning multiple times.
It's true. It's true. See, the issue with telling me to find the game is that now I've forgotten the name of it.
That's okay.
Oh, it's called Snake Memory. I'm pretty sure. Let me check.
Would you
This is
like to
good.
talk about it? I have not played it.
This is good. Looking at games in the middle of a podcast. Okay.
What happened?
God, the music is filling my. Okay, no, it's fine.
Anyway, as we're talking about cats, I want to talk about another cat game, 10MG. You are such a soft and round kitten, which was made for a collection of games that are all supposed to be 10 minutes long. And this game is very funny in the way that it is 10 minutes long because when you start the game, it makes you wait for like 90 seconds before you can play the rest of it because the rest of
Yeah.
the game isn't quite 10 minutes long. So you're being forced to wait a certain amount of time before
The
you start, and
greatest intro
it's
of all
so funny.
time.
Like there's this big loading screen and everything, like telling you to wait for just a little bit longer. It's a
There's
highlight
an
of the game for me.
it's an aggressive Windows pop-up, a pop-up window that says with the timer that says you have to wait, and there's a button to dismiss it, and if you dismiss it before the time is up, it immediately opens up the window again with the same sound. It's like, no, you have to sit here, you have to wait the full 90 seconds to play this game. Yeah. Another thing to mention, she's very funny. Her games are very funny in that, like the way her text is laid out, like the way, like the text in Jiggly Zone, all the text in her NPC dialogue, the way she just designs part of her games. Like there's a part in Sylvie Lime where you can just fly off a seemingly easy to travel path, and then when you get to the next screen, you're immediately hit with a wall of spikes and you die. Like stuff like that is just not fair, but it's funny.
Yeah, there's a lot of humor in these games. One of my favorite in Clockwork Calamity is that there's just a girl who has a bunch of red paper clips, and she's like, "I hate these red paper clips. Give me something
Yeah,
worthless for them." And you can't give her nothing, and you can't give her anything. It's like, "No, you gotta give me something really terrible, something really shitty for these worthless red paper clips. I wanna get rid of them." It's like just like an absurd NPC.
yeah, the best. Oh yeah. Also, there's a game I forgot the name of already. It's a game where it's a platformer where you're moving like automatically to the right and you click the jump, and the game starts with like a pit that with a sign that says "Do not fall in the pit." Like 2 blocks away from you. So you start moving, and if you don't figure out how to click the jump within like the first 2 blocks, you fall down the pit, and it's just an endlessly repeating pit that keeps going down until you refresh the page to start the game over. You have to figure out the jumping mechanic in 1 second, otherwise you lose. Great game. That's one of her bigger games.
Bigger games because the hole goes on forever, or bigger in
It's
terms
like
of
it's like a
development scale?
full Metroidvania beyond that point. Seriously, it's just
Okay.
that opening pit that's such a pain in the ass.
That's so funny. I love that. What a sense of humor. Oh, I want to talk about Cat Planet. Cat Planet is a game where you play as like an angel with another like sort of multiple jump flying mechanic,
But it's
and
infinite
you have
this
to go
time.
around. What?
It's infinite this time. Infinite jumps. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And you have to go around finding lots of cats, and they all just go like Cat Planet, Cat Planet. When you talk to them, they'll just say like very excitedly explain what the game is, basically, bouncing around doing lots of rainbows and stuff. And like it kind of feels like a joke game at first because there's very little difficulty and it's just kind of wandering around and finding all these cats that just yell Cat Planet and stuff. And then like there's very suddenly a massive difficulty spike where it's like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
you gotta fly through this incredibly intense level with lots of enemies chasing you in a very small hallway filled with spikes. It's like, oh my god, what has happened? What is Cat Planet? And it's just like just a couple of levels of some of the most difficult platforming you'll ever see, and then the game ends.
It rolls credits really fast, and then you're just stuck in the last room forever until you close the game. Yeah.
It's such a funny game. I love it. Cat Planet is incredible. Oh my god.
This was apparently one of her first really big hits, I think. This was like a big hit in the Flash scene, I think, to the point where people even made fan games, fan sequels. There's a fan made Cat Planet 2. I feel like it does speak to like Flash games where it's like this is really simple, but it's like extremely detailed and well designed, and you can spend so much time with it if you really play it out. I feel like that's why it fits so well in like the Flash game scene. That's just me talking out of my ass, though. Yeah.
I, to be honest, I'm amazed that it became popular, and it's hard to like gauge how popular a game is in the Flash era, considering a lot of those sites are like don't really give you that information for long periods of time, and many of them have been shut down. But yeah, it's like a very strange game for people to get attached to and to like really enjoy. So I'm glad that something gained popularity, but I'm surprised that it did.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like her games are too inaccessible. The thing is that they're unconventional, but they're not inaccessible. You can pick up Clockwork Calamity and figure out what's going on. It just won't give you like the usual signposting for the average game. And it's still like really cute and funny and things like that. It's inviting in that way. It's just that there's so much that you're just kind of like overwhelmed by it initially.
I think these games are accessible, but there's still that moment, the first 10 seconds when you start the game up and someone picks up the controls and they go, wait a second, this is weird. I don't like this. This is bad. And then they shut the game off forever. Like, I
Okay, yeah.
imagine if you would graph the playtime for these people, is like tons of people drop it in the first 30 seconds, and then everyone else like plays throughout the entire thing because
Yeah, that's true. If you
it
can't
really
get over the
filters
first
out
hump, you're
the
screwed.
weak.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And it depends on the game you're playing because some of them are really difficult. Yeah. Have you played Sylvie Miniature?
I did not.
That one is fucked because it's literally you open up the game and it's like 2 centimeters wide on your screen, and you have to zoom in on your browser in order to play the game, basically. It's like a really small game. Your jump is so pathetically high. It's like a Fadian effort where you have to jump trying to clamber your way up to different parts of the game. If you die, you start all the way back at the beginning of the game, and it's like a Metrovania, so you have to clamber all the way back over. These are all screen based, so it's like all very very tiny screens that you explore one at a time. And according to some people, I didn't get this far. I rage quit the game. According to some people, this is one of her biggest games. It has one of the biggest maps. It's just you only see it like 2 centimeters at a time, basically. This is just getting off. I think this is just going to be like the Terry Kavanaugh episode where we just start mentioning random games. Unbelievably kiddyish Sylvie. This has the greatest premise of all time for a video game, where it's a top-down game. It's a top-down game with a bunch of barriers around, and you have a character who starts in the middle. You have an arrow that you can point around in 360 directions, and once you click, your character goes off in that direction and starts bouncing off the walls like that DVD logo in that like that screensavery thing, and you can't control that character anymore for the rest of the game. So it's basically just you watching that character bounce around walls, waiting for them to try to get to the door so they can move to the next screen. And you're just like sitting there. There's no more control for you to do because you've already done it. It's just like it's like watching Twitch plays Pokemon, but Twitch isn't even playing Pokemon. It's just physics playing out the entire game by itself. A beautiful game. Beautiful game. Weirdly engrossing.
I think it's a testament to these games that we're just so excited to talk about them and to like just to explain what they are and to like be kind of bewildered at their structure. It's hard to like get at anything deeper in them, to be honest, but like the very concept for them is like, wow, this was a thing, this was made.
And, like, I know maybe you're listening to us and you're like, I don't really get the appeal of this if you haven't played any of your games, but seriously, just go play them. It's like, I don't know. It's like it does speak to her that like her philosophy behind her games is I just want to be known through my design. Like if you play my games and experience my design, you'll get to know me. And there's such a strong voice coming out of it because what other person would come up with a game like that where you have to click you have to click off in a specific direction and you can't control anything after that? Or what kind of game would put a game where you turn into a lime and that means you float off the ground and then be like, okay, that's not good enough. I need to add 18 other items to the game. And also hidden walls. And also when you hit a wall, it bounces off really hard. And then I'll add like Dark Souls bullet hell bosses to it. I didn't even
What do you
mention
think
the
Dark
plot in
Souls
that.
is?
Did I say Dark Souls? I'm sorry, I blacked out. I just said that.
I said Dark Souls bullet hell.
I said I meant to say Toho bullet hell, but I guess my brain just
Okay,
substituted it in
okay.
there.
That's much better.
Toho is basically Japanese Dark Souls, right? That's what it is, right?
Dark Souls is Japanese Dark Souls.
They made that one? Japan?
Oh my
That's
god, we
crazy.
have to do Miyazaki at some point.
I thought Miyazaki made movies. He didn't make games too?
I fucking hate you. Oh my god. Okay, okay. What were we talking about?
Cats. I don't know. Kitties. Game design.
Anyway, I think it's safe to say that we love these games. They're incredible.
So I recommended Sylvie. So it's up to Offer to recommend the next episode. Offer, what are we doing next time?
I want to get over one of my embarrassing indie game blind spots because this is going to be like one of the most important in popular indie games where even the sort of early 2010s PewDiePie like Let's Players were playing it. I want to talk about Lucas Pope, who made Papers, Please and Return of the Obra Dinn. I I don't know why it took me so long to get into Papers, Please, but I got to force myself to do it, and this is my opportunity. And also, you haven't played
Yay!
a Return of the Obra Dinn, right?
That's right, and it's, I've been looking into detectives recently for personal reasons, and it's a literal detective game, so that makes me very happy. I gotta go play it. Yeah.
I'm
God,
forcing you to do research for your next project.
exactly, thank you. You're forcing me to play a game. Yeah, I don't know. It's so weird. I like Lucas Pope's games a lot. I played Papers, Please before. I love it, and I have a weird experience of Obra in that I watched somebody play it when it came out because I assumed I'd never be able to play it. I didn't have a PC back then, and I really loved it just watching it. And after I got a PC, I was like, "Damn, I really want to play that game." But since it's a mystery based game, it's very easy to spoil. So I've been waiting years for all the memory to trickle out of my head so I can go play it. So I guess now is the time.
To be honest, I don't know how to sell Lucas Pope in his games because I've only played Obra Dinn, but he is known for kind of being a solo dev mostly and still like having these like really big and kind of like artistic games where it's focusing on a lot of like smaller level experiences instead of like big bombastic stuff, but it's also like very fun and engaging and narratively pleasing to a wide audience. And I think it's kind of fascinating that someone is able to make something that will sort of balance both of those aspects out because they're often in conflict. For some reason, there's like a focus on sort of regular jobs and laborers, where Oberdin is about an insurance adjuster and Papers, Please is about like a border paper checker bureaucrat. I don't know what they're called.
It's a checkpoint security guard or checkpoint
Yeah.
security checkers person, yeah.
Yeah, there's a word for it. I guess that's only like 2 games, but it's noticeable enough that it's in both of those games, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because if you asked me before his 3rd game came out, I would say that his games are, like, European-focused, kind of gritty graphics, like, realistic settings with violence and, like, dreariness, but mixed in with, like, enthusiasm for retro, like, '80s PC tech. Like, there's a lot of stuff in Oberdin where it's like you can adjust filters to look like the Macintosh PC, specific stuff like that, and it uses very specific pixel art. And then his 3rd game came out, which is exclusively for the Playdate. He made it for his kids. It's called Mars After Midnight, and it's a really cartoony game where it's like Papers, Please, but you're, like, letting in aliens for, like a bar, basically. So it's, like, extremely cartoonish. I guess it still has pixel art, but it's, like, completely opposite from everything that came before it. So, you know, as is, whenever you make something you wanna make, it kind of goes against the idea of a cohesive image of your person.
So true.
Anyways, the real
Uh,
reason you picked this game is because you made 3 games, so it's easier to research.
Honestly, not really, to be honest. Like, there
I
are
just
some other
wanted to throw
people I
you
was
under the bus.
considering, like, I saw Papers, Please in, like, my games that I need to play. I was like, "Oh, shit. I need to play Papers, Please."
Right now, before the year ends.
But yeah, because I'm gonna die at the end of the year, so something I need to do. Uh, yeah. Anyway, Lucas Pope, next episode. There we go. Let's do the outro. Do 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 do.
No, no, as always, I'm Galvin. Just go.
Oh, yeah. As always, I'm Author Function.
And I'm Galvin. Thanks for listening.
I'm fading. Bye.